Welcome to the deep dive. So you want to talk UFOs?
You bet.
Awesome. You've brought some incredible material for us to dig into today. First-hand accounts, historical documents, even some scientific analysis.
We've got government reports, pilot testimonies, really the whole works.
Perfect. So let's dive right into the world of, what's the official term again?
Unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs.
UAPs. All right, UAPs it is. Okay, so to kick things off, we're going to be looking at excerpts from Elizondo book,
Imminent, Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs.
Right, exactly. And Elizondo, for anyone who doesn't know, he was a high-ranking intelligence officer who...
he ran ATIP.
ATIP.
The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
So a real government-funded investigation into UFOs.
Yes, this is the real deal. Forget those blurry photos and shaky videos. We're getting an insider's perspective.
That's what we like. An insider's perspective. Okay, so one of the things that really stood out to me in the book is how Elizondo talks about this culture of silence surrounding UFOs, going all the way back to like the 1940s.
Yeah, he talks about it, Roswell, government cover-ups, media ridicule, anyone who even dared to take these sightings seriously was basically ostracized.
So you're telling me there were credible witnesses out there like military pilots, intelligence officers, and they couldn't even talk about what they saw?
Exactly. Imagine you're a pilot, you see something incredible, something that defies all known laws of physics, but you can't report it.
Because you're afraid of...
ruining your career, being labeled a cook, becoming the subject of ridicule. It's like a don't ask, don't tell policy, but for UFOs.
Wow, that's crazy. So how did anyone manage to push for serious investigation in that kind of environment? It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it was. But Elizondo owed a lot of credit to Senator Harry Reid. He was a big advocate for taking UAPs seriously.
Right, I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
Didn't he actually secure funding for ATIP?
He did. And it's important to understand their motivation here. It wasn't about little green men or proving aliens exist. It was a matter of national security.
They were looking at it like...
Okay, we've got these objects displaying capabilities that are far beyond anything we know. We need to figure out what they are and whether they pose a threat.
Makes sense. So Elizondo himself, he wasn't always a believer.
No, in fact, he started out as a skeptic.
Right.
And we're not talking about some random guy off the street. This is a military man, a counterintelligence expert trained in remote viewing.
Wow, really? Remote viewing? That's fascinating in itself.
It is. But yeah, he was skeptical. It wasn't until he actually started leading ATIP in 2008 that his perspective began to shift.
What was it that changed his mind? Was there like a specific case or something that really impacted him?
Well, there were a few things. One of the cases that really stood out to him was the Colares incident in Brazil, 1977.
What happened there?
Well, imagine an entire community being terrorized by these strange lights for weeks. Not just distant lights in the sky, but lights that were interacting with people, causing burns, affecting people's health. It was well documented, investigated by scientists and government officials, and it really left a mark on Elizondo.
Yeah, I can see how something like that would make you question things. I remember him talking about the tanks, too.
Oh, the tanks, yeah. He doesn't reveal the exact location in the book, but he describes finding these tanks with perfectly round holes punched clean through their armor.
Just holes, like no explosions, no other damage.
Exactly. He said it was like something out of a comic book. No known weapon could have done that.
Then I was
like something just like effortlessly punched through them.
Exactly. Okay, so these experiences, along with the mountains of data he was sifting through at ATIP, really started to convince Elizondo that something extraordinary was going on.
Yeah, he realized he wasn't dealing with misidentified aircraft or weather balloons. This was something else entirely, something with potentially world-changing implications.
And so he came up with what he calls the 6 observables. These are the characteristics of UAPs that defy conventional explanation.
That's right. And this is where things start to get really interesting, even mind-bending, you could say.
All right, well, let's hear it. What are these 6 observables?
Well, first you have the hypersonic velocities. These things are moving at speeds exceeding Mach 5.
5 times the speed of sound.
You got it. And they're doing it without any visible propulsion system, no sonic booms, none of the heat or stress that should accompany such speeds.
It's like they're breaking the laws of physics as we know them.
It really is. And then you have the instantaneous acceleration that can change direction on a dime, making 90-degree turns at those incredible speeds.
And that's not even all of it, right?
Not even close. We've also got low observability, meaning they can appear and disappear seemingly at will, evade radar, and even blend into the environment. environment.
So they're like stealth on steroids.
Exactly. And then there's transmedium travel, which means they can move seamlessly between air, water, and even space.
Hold on, they can just like dip in and out of the ocean.
It seems that way. And then there's anti-gravity effects. They can hover, maneuver, and even accelerate without any visible means of lift or propulsion.
This is getting crazier by the minute.
And we're not done yet. The final observable is biological effects, meaning people who have encounters with these objects sometimes report physical and psychological effects.
Like what?
Burns, nausea, feelings of paralysis, even altered perceptions of time.
So these UAP encounters aren't always just visual.
Nope. They can be much more immersive and sometimes even traumatic experiences.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. So we've got these 6 observables all pointing to technology that's far beyond anything we've ever seen.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Wait till we get into some of the specific cases Elizondo investigated.
Okay, well, let's get to it. One case that I'm particularly interested in is the Nimitz incident. This is the one with the tic-tac-shaped UAP, right?
The Tic Tac, yes. This is a classic case.
And it involved multiple Navy pilots, radar operators. I mean, these are trained professionals.
Right. Highly credible witnesses, all observing this object performing maneuvers that seemed impossible.
And this was off the coast of San Diego in 2004, if I remember correctly.
That's right. And what makes this case so compelling is that it's not just eyewitness testimony. We have radar data, FLIR footage, multiple sources all converging on this one event.
And the thing is, it's still unexplained.
To this day.
Amazing. All right, so let's break this down. You've got these seasoned fighter pilots, the best of the best, going up against a tic-tac.
I know, it sounds crazy, right?
It does.
Yeah.
So did they actually engage with this thing? Did they try to, I don't know, shoot it down or something?
Well, they tried to intercept it, but the UAP basically outmaneuvered them with ease. It was like it knew what they were going to do before they did it.
That's a little creepy.
It is. And it really suggests that whatever technology is behind these objects, it's far more advanced than anything we have.
So Elizondo really stumbled onto something significant here. I mean, this isn't just some fringe theory anymore. This is something else entirely.
I think so, too. And the Nimitz incident is just one of many cases that Elizondo investigated. He talks about another particularly chilling encounter involving a helicopter attempting to recover a missile from the ocean.
A helicopter, a missile, and the ocean? You can't just leave me hanging like that. Tell me more.
Well, picture this. A Navy helicopter is hovering over the ocean trying to retrieve a test missile. Suddenly, this massive, dark object rises from the depths, positioning itself directly beneath the helicopter and the dangling missile.
Whoa, hold on. How big are we talking here? And what did this thing look like?
The witnesses described it as this gigantic disc, completely black, like staring into an abyss. That's what one of them said.
Okay, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Well,
so what happened next? Did they manage to get the missile back?
As the helicopter ascended, the crew watched in disbelief as the missile was inexplicably drawn down towards the submerged object, almost like it exerted some kind of force, pulling the missile underwater.
Wait, are you serious?
I know, it sounds unbelievable. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, the object vanished back into the depths, taking the missile with it.
That's seriously creepy. It makes you wonder what else might be lurking down there in the deep. Do you think these UAPs are as comfortable underwater as they seem to be in the air?
It certainly seems that way. And Elizondo highlights several other cases that suggest these UAPs are capable of transitioning seamlessly between air, water, and even space, something we can barely comprehend with our current technology.
This reminds me of something else Elizondo mentioned, and it's a little unsettling. He talks about UAPs being spotted around nuclear facilities.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting pattern that emerges.
It's more than interesting. It's kind of scary. What's the deal with that? Are they drawn to radiation, or is there something more sinister going on?
It's hard to say for sure, but there definitely seems to be a recurring pattern of UAPs showing an interest in our nuclear technology. Elizondo cites cases where UAPs were observed hovering near nuclear power plants, and even incidents where they appeared to have tampered with nuclear missile systems.
Wait, tampered? Are you saying they were messing with our nukes?
There's one case in particular back in March 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, where multiple witnesses observed these strange star-like UAPs zigzagging across the sky. One of them, emitting a bright red light, hovered directly over the missile silos. Shortly after, multiple Minutemen intercontinental ballistic missiles went offline.
Are you kidding me? That's seriously alarming. If they have the ability to disable our nuclear weapons, it raises huge questions about their intentions. Are they trying to send us a message, or are they a threat we haven't fully grasped yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it underscores why this topic deserves serious investigation. We can't just brush it aside as a bunch of conspiracy theories. The implications are just too significant to ignore.
Speaking of significant implications, let's talk about something that really blew my mind. The possibility that the government has actually retrieved material from crashed UAPs. Elizondo mentions this legacy program, but he's pretty tight-lipped about the specifics.
Yeah, he's cautious about revealing too much, likely due to the sensitive nature of the information. But he does recount a story about a high-ranking admiral who was investigating a program involving the retrieval and reverse engineering of crashed UAPs. When the admiral started asking too many questions, he received a chilling warning from a contractor involved. He was told to back off or risk losing his career and pension.
Wow, that's intense. They were really trying to keep this under wraps. It makes you wonder, what are they so afraid of?
It's hard to say for sure. Perhaps they're concerned about the potential misuse of this technology. Imagine what could happen if the wrong people got their hands on it. Or maybe it's about controlling the narrative, preventing widespread panic, or a shift in the balance of power.
It's unsettling to think that this kind of information might be hidden from the public, especially if it could pose a threat to national security. But Elizondo doesn't just focus on the cloak and dagger stuff. He also dives into some pretty mind-bending science.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about the work of Hal Puthoff, a brilliant physicist who was part of ATIP.
Okay, I've heard of Puthoff. He's the one who researches warp drives and stuff, right?
That's him. His research focuses on some seriously cutting-edge concepts like warp drives and zero-point energy. The idea that even a perfect vacuum contains a vast reservoir of untapped energy.
Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me. What exactly is a warp drive, and how does it relate to zero-point energy?
Imagine a spacecraft capable of bending space-time itself, creating a warp bubble that allows it to travel vast distances faster than the speed of light. That's the essence of a warp drive. And Puthoff theorizes that zero-point energy could be the key to unlocking this technology.
So you're telling me that faster-than-light travel might actually be possible?
It might sound like science fiction, but the underlying physics are surprisingly sound. Puthoff has dedicated years to this research, and his work suggests that it's not as far-fetched as it might seem.
And how does this tie back to UAPs? Is Elizondo suggesting that these objects are using some kind of warp drive technology?
That's precisely what he's suggesting. If you think about the 6 observables we discussed earlier, the hypersonic velocities, the instantaneous acceleration, the transmedium travel, it starts to paint a picture of technology that operates on principles we're only beginning to understand.
It's mind-blowing to consider that we might be witnessing technology so advanced that it appears to be magic. And if they are manipulating space-time, it could explain why some witnesses report these objects appearing distorted or blurry.
Exactly. Think about gravitational lensing, where the gravity of massive objects bends light, distorting the appearance of things behind them. Elizondo suggests that the warp bubbles created by UAPs might cause similar distortions, making them appear shimmery or difficult to define.
My head is officially spinning. Warp drives, zero-point energy, gravitational lensing, it's a lot to process.
I hear you. It's mind-bending stuff for sure.
Okay, let's bring it back down to Earth for a minute. Elizondo also explores the connection between UAPs and human consciousness, right?
That's right. He delves into the possibility that UAPs might not just be advanced machines, but could be linked to some kind of higher intelligence, or even controlled by thought.
Hold on, controlled by thought. Is he talking about telekinesis or something? How does that even work?
He points to some intriguing research on the caudate putamen, a part of the brain associated with intuition, premonition, and split-second decision-making. Studies have shown that people who have experienced UAP encounters, including those involved in remote viewing programs, often have a larger caudate putamen than average.
Interesting. So are you saying there might be a neurological basis for these encounters? That certain people might be more attuned to these phenomena?
It's certainly a possibility. And it opens up a whole new realm of questions about the nature of consciousness, our perception of reality, and the potential for our minds to interact with technology in ways we never imagined.
Just getting into some X-Files territory now.
It is, but it's also backed up by real scientific research.
So we've got the science, we've got the mind-bending possibilities, but let's not forget about the potential dangers. Elizondo describes some pretty unsettling cases where people have suffered real physical and psychological harm after encounters with UAPs.
That's right. He talks about people experiencing burns, radiation sickness, even psychological trauma. It's one of the most disturbing aspects of the phenomenon because it suggests that UAPs might not be entirely benign.
Right, they could pose a real threat. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Government secrecy, mind-blowing encounters, cutting-edge science, and even the potential dangers of UAPs. It's a lot to take in, but Elizondo doesn't just leave us hanging with all these unanswered questions. He also talks about his fight for disclosure, the struggle to bring this information to light. And that's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive. The battle for transparency, the push for government accountability, and the growing movement demanding answers about the UAP phenomenon.
Buckle up, because it's about to get really interesting.
I can't wait. Buckle up, because it's about to get really interesting.
It is. So Elizondo, he didn't just sit back and wait for the government to, come clean about all of this.
He didn't.
No. He resigned from the Pentagon.
Whoa.
Yeah, pretty big deal, right? This is a high-ranking intelligence officer, someone with a lot to lose.
For sure.
But he put his career on the line because he believed the public had a right to know.
That's a pretty gutsy move. It's like a classic whistleblower story. David versus Goliath.
Exactly. He starts working with investigative journalists, connects with people like Christopher Mellon.
Mellon, yeah, he was a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, right?
That's right. And Elizondo even partnered with Tom DeLonge and to the STARS Academy to get this information out there.
Tom DeLonge, the Blink-182 guy.
Yeah, him. It might seem strange, but DeLonge was really passionate about UFOs, and he had the platform to reach a wider audience.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're putting this information out there, and what happens?
Well, you gotta remember, this is 2017. The stigma surrounding UFOs is still incredibly strong.
Right.
Mainstream media wouldn't touch it. Anyone who talked about it was labeled a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, it was a tough time to be talking about UFOs.
It was. But they kept pushing, they kept raising awareness, and slowly but surely, things started to change.
It's amazing how much the conversation has shifted since then. What do you think was the turning point?
I think the release of those Navy UAP videos in 2017 and 2019 really captured the public's imagination.
Oh yeah, the tic-tac and gimbal videos.
Exactly. Suddenly, everyone was talking about UFOs again.
It wasn't just the public, right? Congress started taking notice, too.
Yeah, we saw those groundbreaking public hearings on UAPs, the first in decades, and then came legislation demanding more transparency from the Pentagon.
Right, like the establishment of the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, AOIMSG.
Exactly. And then there was the UAP Disclosure Act, which aimed to, force the government to be more open about what they knew.
These were huge wins for the disclosure movement. It's like, for years, the government had been stonewalling, dismissing reports, keeping everything classified, and then suddenly...
the dam broke.
Yeah, exactly, the dam broke. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
Elizondo talks about facing resistance from within the government.
Oh, yeah. He describes officials who tried to shut down investigations, dismiss UAPs as demonic.
Demonic. What?
It's crazy, right? It makes you wonder what they were so afraid of.
There's definitely a sense of paranoia there, like they were protecting something. But what? National security, advanced technology falling into the wrong hands, or something even more unsettling.
It's hard to say, but there's a real sense of a hidden agenda at play. Maybe some people in power were just more comfortable with the status quo, clinging to old beliefs rather than confronting the unknown.
It's like they didn't want to believe
that
our understanding of the world might be completely wrong.
Right. But despite the pushback, the tide seems to be turning. Elizondo's book, it ends on a note of optimism.
Does it?
Yeah. He sees the growing public awareness, the scientific research, the increasing pressure on the government as signs that we're moving towards a new era of understanding.
That's encouraging.
He believes that the truth, whatever it may be, will eventually come out. And when it does, it could have profound implications for humanity.
How so?
Well, think about it. It might challenge our fundamental understanding of physics, technology, even our place in the universe.
It's like standing on the edge of a new frontier. Imagine the possibilities unlocking the secrets of UAP technology. Harnessing zero-point energy. Achieving interstellar travel.
It's mind-boggling.
It is. But it's not just about the technological advancements, right?
No, it's also about expanding our consciousness, recognizing that we may not be alone in the universe. And it's about grappling with the philosophical and spiritual implications of that realization.
So where does this leave us? We've explored the mysteries, the science, the fight for disclosure. But the real question is, what does this all mean for you?
Yeah.
What stood out to you from this deep dive? What are your thoughts on UAPs? Do you believe we're alone in the universe?
That's for you to decide. The search for answers is just beginning, and that's the beauty of it.
How so?
This isn't just a passive story you're listening to. You can be a part of the conversation. You can ask questions, explore the evidence, and draw your own conclusions.
That's what makes this topic so fascinating.
It is.
It challenges us to think critically, to question our assumptions, and to embrace the unknown. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, it'll lead us to a future we can only dream of. Until then, keep looking up. It's encouraging. So Elizondo thinks the truth is going to come out eventually.
He does.
And it could have some pretty big implications for, humanity.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, in what way?
Well, I mean, think about it. It could totally change how we understand physics, technology, our place in the universe, all the big questions.
It's like we're on the verge of discovering something huge.
Yeah, like a whole new frontier.
Right. Like, imagine, what if we could unlock the secrets of UAP technology?
Or harness zero-point energy, achieve interstellar travel.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is, but it goes beyond just the technology.
Yeah, you're right.
It's about, expanding our consciousness, realizing that we're not alone in the universe.
Right.
And then what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our understanding of, existence and our place in it all? It's a lot to grapple with.
It is. So much to think about. I guess that's what makes this topic so fascinating.
For sure.
It challenges us to think differently, to question everything we thought we knew.
And to be open to the unknown.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your thoughts on all of this? What stood out to you? Do you believe we're alone in the universe?
That's the big question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer.
Right.
But that's okay, because the search for answers is what makes this journey so exciting. This isn't just a story you're listening to. You're a part of it now.
You really think so?
Absolutely. You can ask your own questions, explore the evidence, and draw your own conclusions. That's the beauty of it.
That is pretty cool. So what do we do now? Where do we go from here?
Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep looking up. Who knows what we might discover?
That's great advice. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been an incredible journey.
My pleasure.
And to all of you listening out there, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of the universe.